That's out here in Amish country.
I didn't know they had stuff like that out there in Amish country. Huh.
We got the Amish mafia.
Oh, stop.
Ninth round pick out of the Citadel in 1981. Stump carved out a successful NFL career with the Cardinals.
He's strong. He can move. He was agile. He can make guys miss. He had it all. He had everything in the game.
In Cardinals franchise history, only Larry Fitzgerald has more all-purpose yards.
He did it all, man.
Hello, everyone. Want to welcome back our fans to the RBU Running Back University Stump Talk podcast. This is episode 23. Sapphire, Coach Stump Mitchell, our producer Russell, me and Ro Goldstein. Welcome back, everyone. How's everyone feeling?
Feeling great. Glad to be with you
Fantastic.
all.
Fantastic. Me as well. Love me some time with Coach Stump and Roe and Russ.
I agree. We got the call from Coach Stump, and kind of like the old Godfather movies. We think we're done, and he pulls us back in. We are a fine-tuned, well-oiled machine, Coach. Your work ethic, and I see you when I see your call, I perk up and get my stuff together immediately. So glad to see you guys. We have some new Browns updates and news. We were sitting back waiting for the draft and talking to Russell, who's our draft analyst, better than Mel Kiper. Uh, so we're going to jump right into our topics. Coach Stump, you got a lot of information to give our Browns fans. We want to start off with the information, the news that came out in Yahoo Sports. Head coach Kevin Stefanski was ranked last among NFL head coaches last year in 2025, based on the NFL PA report card with player survey. Coach, give us some enlightenment on this. What does this mean?
It means exactly what I said during the course of the year when Miles and all of those guys were saying they had Kevin's back. That's just the type of people they are. I told you he lost that entire locker room 2 years ago, and he definitely lost it this past year. The way they were playing defense and the things that he did in terms of complimentary football, there was no complimentary football from the offensive side of the ball. The training camp must have been a joke because they had no way to go. I mean, they should have gone with Joe Flacco, giving him all the time that he needed, and those receivers to be able to showcase and win games this past year. In which, because of the division, had they done that, the Browns would have had an opportunity to win that division.
Sapphire, uh, we voted him the worst coach in the NFL 2 years ago, so the world is just catching up. Um, so we weren't necessarily surprised. What are your thoughts, Sapphire, on this report coming out?
I always start with I don't wish bad on anyone, gentlemen. The world is challenging enough. Before I answer that question, though, I wanted to ask Coach to clarify, was this a survey just of the players within the organization or like the division? Who was surveyed?
No, it's every team. Players on every team do this survey for their team, and they submit them to the league.
Thank you for that because it reminds me of, all of the years in corporate America, they require us to do surveys that they say are anonymous that grade our leadership as well. And to me, it's no surprise. And I do believe that surveys like this are important for organizations and ownership to know. And I would like to think that the Browns knew this, that he lost the locker room at least a couple of years ago before this survey was even released. So, no surprise from this fan, and just glad that we're on the backside of that era.
Coach, I want to kind of stick to this really quick. Do you remember as a player taking such surveys, or is this something new that's in the NFL?
No, I don't. I don't remember that when I was a player, but I do remember it coming about when, of course, when I was a coach.
I want to ask, given that the players in the NFL came up with this information, I think it's very telling. I believe that the national headlines that spread across the country in the NFL community on the handling of Shador Sanders. Again, Sapphire and Russ, we got a close up look at some of the mismanagement, uh, you know, the mishandling of personnel. We talked about the offensive line woes and letting that offensive line get old. This Stump has been expounding on. So, I want to ask you, Sapphire, what do you think this says regarding Stefanski and maybe his thoughts and the organization's thoughts? It's not just us making this assessment. Now the league has spoken.
I mean, I really think that it just really embellishes more what Coach Stump has been saying. It didn't take a rocket scientist to see what was going on. When you have a player that, with all of the quote downside that Shador brings, the cameras and, holding on to the ball, this and that and the other, he more than proved that he has enough raw talent under the right tutelage, right? To realize his potential. And I'd like to think that's what Coach Munkin is going to do, not only with him, but with the other quarterbacks that we have in the locker room.
Coach Stump, this is a great time and place. You've been a very positive about the hiring of Todd Munkin, and you talked to us about his assessment of his personnel and the mentality or the corporate culture maybe he's trying to establish as he gets settled in with his staff. I see he hired 29 coaches or whatnot, has 29 coaches on his staff, I should say, including his son, Travis. Coach, I want to ask you, what is Munkin's outlook on his staff, his quarterback room, and his offense?
Well, he's been with some coaches that have he's got connections with. Some of them they coach with George Warhawk and his assistant offensive line coach. Those guys all coach together, so they understand one another. They know the job that they're trying to get done. They know the job that they had gotten done the past few years with the Ravens. They understand Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun is going to flourish under Todd because he's going to correct some of the things that just went unnoticed or under Kevin. Deshaun is a guy that led the league in passing yardage at one particular time. He led the Texans to the playoffs a couple years. So it's not like you have a guy who can't do it. He's done it before. And Todd is going to allow Deshaun to breathe fresh air. He's going to work extremely hard. And I think he's going to have an opportunity to play. I really think out of those quarterbacks, I think Deshaun is the most talented one of them all, to be perfectly honest. Shador can throw the ball extremely well. He's going to know how to navigate the pocket much better now with Todd. And he's going to be held to a high level standard. The media and all of that stuff, they're going to have their conversation. But for Todd, that's a that's non-negotiable. He's got to be dedicated to football. And as far as Dylan, don't count Dylan out. He's got a great leader in the head coach in Todd Munkin, and Dylan is going to work his butt off. I still think Deshaun is probably the better of the quarterbacks, and if he's healthy, which I think he will be, he'll get an opportunity to prove that. And some of the flaws that Deshaun have as a quarterback, which aren't many, I think Todd will recognize right away and get him to correct those things as to just looking at Deshaun and being enamored with what he can do. Todd is more enamored about the things that he's not doing well to make him the best that he can possibly be.
Mm.
I want to stick to the offensive side of the ball, Coach Stump and Sapphire, before we talk about the Browns defense going into next year. Sapphire, some of the things that Stump just mentioned and Monken's approach, given his background with the Ravens and some of the success they had, particularly with the quarterback position and some of the play calling. Are you excited about our offense, given our, you know, quarterback competition? We don't know who's going to come out as the starter.
What I'm excited about is to see what else the Browns do to address the apparent need on the offensive line. I can't get beyond that. Like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and Mom Them could come here and rah rah about the offense, but I'm stuck on what Todd Monken said. They got to build it on that line. That's what I'm excited for to see.
Let's stick to you, Sapphire. So there's reports of Willis. Murray's going to be released by Arizona, and coach here locally. They're throwing so many quarterback names in the hat. They're talking about the Simpson kid out of Alabama, and we got two potential studs right here who are in town who have, leases and mortgages right there in the Cleveland area. And I'm seeing up to 4 to 5 quarterbacks be thrown in the mix, and we have, an abundance of other issues. Sapphire, what do you think about this quarterback talk and these other media outlets and these ridiculous outtakes about the quarterback position?
I think it's insane. I think it's insane for the reasons that you touched on and more. And I really, with all due respect to Cleveland sports media, I probably listen to them for 5 minutes a week because they're in manic mode and panic mode right now. We just got a new coach. We just finished the combines. Can they give the man that's now in charge of, navigating the waters an opportunity to settle in and bring the pieces that he feels he needs to make this team move forward?
Coach Dump, let's change our views and switch to the defensive side of the ball. We got Mike Ruttenberg as the new defensive coordinator who has no defensive coordinator experience. He was a analyst or whatnot on the offensive side of the ball last year. That kind of had me scratching my head, Coach. Um, you know, we got the hiring of Dom Capers coming in with 40 years of experience and some of the supposed exotic looks and packages he can add. Coach, what do you think about the defensive side of the ball, some of the things that will be consistent, and we will get a layover from last year going into this year that we can look forward to as Browns fans?
Well, I think anytime you putting together a team of coaches or players, what you really want to do is see how good those guys are that you have in case someone gets sick. Gets sick, who can step in and take place. AVP, for instance, when we played the playoff game in Pittsburgh, when Stefanski had COVID, AVP ended up having to call the game, which was no big deal because we knew he had those type of qualities. Well, those guys that were under Coach Schwartz the past 4 years, they understood and understand what type of defense they have. They understood his mind concept, when he's trying to put things together in terms of calling plays. They understand Miles and where to put him because this is the first year that Miles has had more sacks in any one season than he did during his tenure under Joe Woods. So it didn't just happen this year for Miles. It was a thing in progress where those coaches they talked about what they needed to do, placement and all of this stuff. So the best thing about it now is that you still have some defensive coaches that have been there at the other positions that's going to allow the defense to continue to play well. And bringing Coach Capers in is definitely not going to hurt that. But you would have liked to seen someone that was on that staff the past 3 to 4 years that probably earned the right to have the opportunity to be the DC, but it didn't go that way.
Coach, I want to stick to you really quick. You've been very, I would say, optimistic about the defense. Besides the Jim Schwartz not getting the co-head coaching job, But why should we as Browns fans, you always talked about, uh, continuity, and should we really expect a new defensive coordinator who, again, is going to the opposite side of the ball from last year? We have Dom Capers, given his many years of experience. At the end of the day, Coach, how much do they really know about the personnel that maybe the average fan would know? I mean, yeah, we know we have a top DN, we know we got Ward, but at the end of the day, Coach, do they really know that personnel enough for us to believe that this defense is going to remain a top five defense?
Yeah, I think what they do know is the fact that those assistant coaches are back. They're blessed. So it's not like those position players have to learn somebody new. And it's not like they're going to have to learn a total new system. They're still going to be doing some of the things that they did, just like Coach Monken said. So Coach Cape has been around a long time. He's going to have the opportunity to bring some suggestions that will allow them to flourish still. And I think just by Coach Monken being there and taking over the offense, I think that's going to allow the defense to play less snaps and play even better. I think it's going to allow for everyone on that offensive side of the ball to understand that they have a job to do. Coach Monken is a no nonsense guy. I really love the opportunity that I had to work with him there in Cleveland.
Uh, we're going to get to you in a minute, Russ. Sapphire, do you think we are in a better situation now as opposed to if Schwartz was still on the staff for that defense? What are you expecting this year?
My gut tells me that plug and play never works. And there's more to it than just replacing a piece at the top of the pyramid. So I'm concerned. I'm concerned about the level of energy and commitment because I think that's driven by the culture, and that the Browns felt compelled to go out and hire Mr. Capers, who I actually look. I think I value wisdom. Okay, but I think that also indicates a smidgen of concern, right? And like you're saying, Coach Ruttenberg's coming over from a different side of the ball. So I would say my view is vastly different than Coach Stump, who I love and adore, by the way.
No, he was on the defensive side of the ball. He was a defensive
He was the pass game coordinator.
Pass game coordinator or something?
defensive pass game
Okay.
coordinator.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That makes me feel a little bit better.
he just didn't call the defense. But all of those guys, uh, if you're a coach, you want to be a defensive coordinator at some point in time. So you're learning the entire scheme, and the thing that he has is those other guys that's been playing. Like I said, that's been coaching their position players. They're great guys. They're going to get their guys to work. Now, hopefully, you know they can stay healthier than they were last year. To lose MJ was tough, but they did get something from the young man that they got from Jacksonville. But I believe um, the Browns going to win the division. I just feel that way. I think those guys are going to come back energized and
Mm.
waiting and being enthusiastic about meeting, I'm going to say, the new offensive staff, because defensively, for the most part, they're the same. But
Okay.
it's going to be a breath of fresh air. It's going to
Yeah.
be totally opposite of what it was 3 years ago when they came back and there was practically an entire new offensive staff. They knew that was going to be a bunch of BS.
Mm.
That's my apologies. I thought I read that Mike Ruttenberg had some experience on the offensive side of the ball. I may have misread that, Sapphire, but
No, you're good there. So, but I'm gonna stand on culture, performance. Those things are all tied together. So for me, I just have to wait and see. How the men respond to the new energy at the top.
Russ, you've kind of heard our takes, or at least Coach Stump and Sapphire. What's on your mind?
I am I would say, perpetual optimist, and I'm with Coach Stump. I think Coach Rudy coming in will add some energy to the defense with guardrails. So the existing coaches that they brought back, with the experience, big brother over the shoulder with Dom Capers. I
Hmm.
think they'll take a leap. I think on defense, minus any catastrophic injuries or anything. I think they'll be better, even better next season. And I called it, a while back. I'm with Coach Stump. I think they'll win the division next year.
I'm
Well,
right
we
with
have
you.
The offense will be a
trying to,
little better. They'll get a little bit back. They'll get better quarterback play. Yep, write it down, Sapphire. Take a picture.
turn up your volume a little bit, Russ. We can slightly hear you. Well, it's 2-2 on our panel because I'm with Sapphire. Um,
Yeah.
I think just from a continuity, some of the things I've learned from you, Coach, I can only apply what you taught me, and I just think there'll be a fall off from at some point. You got new coaches in there. Again, I'm just giving my opinion on it, sitting in this chair. Um, I wanna go to our next topic in relation to the offensive side of the ball, Coach Stump. We touched on it a little bit talking before the show tonight. The offensive line woes. You brought this up last summer, probably actually 2 summers ago. Um, Having to fill so many positions. We talked about salary. We talked about some of the draft misses with Tristan Wirfs and things of that nature that probably could have put our organization in a different direction. But here we are. Coach, they just signed the kid from the Texans, offensive tackle Titus Howard, in exchange for a fifth-round draft pick, an early fifth-round draft pick. Russ Kuiper, I'm gonna call you, noted us too for $63 million. Gave him an extension. Coach Stump, what does all this mean?
Well, it means Andrew went out and he did his own thing. Now, I wish he had some feedback from George Warhol. I don't know that. And
Hmm.
even when Andrew do get feedback, when he got it from Coach Callahan, I mean, he was going to say one thing, but he did totally the opposite of what he said he was going to do. So the Texans always seem like they can call Andrew anytime and screw him whenever they want to, uh, and went out on that deal. Now, I'm hoping and praying that they finally went on the Deshaun deal because they have Todd Monken. I think Deshaun is a guy that works extremely hard. Uh, Todd is going to uh, coach from step one to step seven in quarterback play, whatever it takes. And Deshaun is the guy that's going to eat it up, you know. And I just think he's going to be successful. I think this is going to be the first time Shadur ever had to compete for anything as a quarterback because his father always gave it to him. He has absolutely no idea of how good he's going to be if he had the opportunity to stay there with Todd Monken and actually learn and grow. He will be phenomenal.
Sapphire, when you first saw the transaction that we picked up in Lyman, when you saw the headline, before you saw who it was, before you saw what we gave up, did you at least get excited that they had some common sense and hit the target board a little by even grabbing somebody from the offensive line side of
Yes,
the ball?
I did. The hairs on the back of my neck definitely chalked up a bit. That's why I started blowing up each of your phones, right? And Coach challenged me, and Russ challenged me. I looked at just if you look at last year, Mister was it Howard Titus Howard was on the field 88% of the time, for the snaps. He took 555 snaps as a right tackle, 334 as a left guard, and 132 as a right guard. So he reads like on paper, like he's a veteran and a lineman that can move around a little bit. So I feel better today than I did the first day because we need to address our offensive line, right? And it worked. I mean, it worked for the Texans, it worked for the Browns. So I'm optimistic about this particular acquisition.
Russ, going into the draft, did we give up too much for this offensive tackle, um, Titus Howard?
Mm, Not at all. I think giving up a fifth round pick, you got a starter, you got an experienced, veteran starting offensive lineman who gives you flexibility. So he can come in. They can start him at right tackle. They can move him to right guard or left guard. So you go into the draft, in which that's just the beginning of what AB is going to do. He'll probably sign another free agent or make another trade. And then he's going to bring back some of our offensive linemen. You know, national media just want to throw the Browns out there like they don't know what they're doing, or like AB doesn't know what he's doing with the offensive line, like they're all free agents. But he's going to bring a couple of those guys back. You know, he's weeding out, okay, who didn't play well. As you saw earlier, they cut, I forget the offensive lineman, Cornelius. They cut him, let him go. I
Mhm.
think two of them they let go. But he's going to bring a couple guys back. And then he goes into the draft, and you're flexible at 6 and 24. You can go best player available at 6 and see who's on the board at 24. You know, if his offensive lineman is still there, it's flexible.
My,
Coach
my
Doug?
deal, my deal with offensive linemen, if you got offensive linemen on the practice squad, they should not be getting cut.
Mhm.
First and foremost, those guys should be
Well, no,
there.
that coach, that guy, Courtney, he was bad.
No, no, I'm saying, well, he never even should have been on the practice squad. There
Well,
should have been somebody else. There should have been somebody else that was on the practice squad.
well,
You give
they at the end of last season. I didn't mean to cut you off. I think they signed about three guys from other teams' practice squads because they had so many injuries on the offensive line. So
yeah.
he's just filtering out everything that didn't work and in the process of replenishing.
My deal is though, when you're the general manager and you're talking about the offensive line, you know these guys are very, very important. And also, you should, if you got a good backup offensive lineman and he plays enough, you can get a second round or first round draft pick for him, especially if you're talking about a tackle.
Yeah,
So you definitely want to have those guys on your practice squad that can play. Andrew allowed that offensive line group to get old and didn't have guys on the practice squad
Hmm.
that they were grooming. When you got a guy like Bill Callahan and Scott Peters as your offensive line coach, they should have guys on that practice squad that if somebody got injured, they can step in and play. You know, so with Titus Howard, yes, he did some great things at Houston, but he was 58th out of 89 when you're talking about qualifying offensive tackles. He didn't give up any sacks, so they say, but he wasn't really great in the run game. So there's issues there as well, and he's turning 30. You extended his contract, but they should have had guys on that practice squad that should have been able to step in and not be in the situation, Russ, where you have to overhaul the entire offensive line because
yeah,
these injuries have been going on with the Browns for the past 3 to 4 years
yeah.
when you're talking about the offensive line.
Yeah, I guess Batonio is about the only one who's consistently been out there. Wyatt I think missed games. Conklin always missed games. The left tackle and Dewan, of course, has missed games every year of his career so far. But
Let me ask this, Coach, to what you're saying, and I agree with all of that. Could this be a tell? Because I think I read that Howard's what do they call it? His pressure allowed rate as it relates to the pass was like not even 5%. So could that be a tell that they picked him up? Could that be a tell that maybe they're thinking about more of a throwing type offense, or do you think they went that deep? When they thought about bringing him on to into the organization.
Well, I'm hoping George Warhawk had an opportunity to view this guy and like what he saw. Okay, it's no question. You don't give up no sacks. You playing all across the board. There's value there. Okay, and he's his salary. I don't know if he had to extend it for 2 years, but he did. You know, but I think the young man to come in, Todd Monken, offensive staff, they're going to have an offense around guys that can get the job done, whatever they need it to be. And just like Todd said, he don't determine who plays. The damn players determine who plays. That's probably the greatest statement.
Hmm.
Any guy that's competing, especially Deshaun. Watson, you know, I got a chance to compete.
Mhm.
Did
Uh,
you? Okay.
you know,
I got a quick point to speak on the 3 years. He does that to roll that money back, so they can give Titus a roster bonus with the new contract and push that salary cap money back until some of that Watson they get cap
Comes
relief.
off.
So that's why he does the 3 year extension. Really, it's like a 2 year deal, but they do the three. You know, that's why.
So the Browns cut ties with the guy Cornelius, the offensive lineman, and they saved $2 million in cap space. Cornelius Lucas.
That's right, Cornelius Lucas.
So
He
Coach Stump, I want to ask you, given I was talking to Russ, I looked at it like this: you give a guy an extension like that, you're talking about $63 million. Even if that's the market, it's a lot of money. And Coach, I mean, if you give a guy, a GM, that type of leeway to play with that type of money, I think I can go find an offensive lineman right from my living room, right? If you give me that kind of budget. So, Coach, I want to ask you, you know, given that, and Russ said that was an early fifth round pick, which I don't know exactly what that means, like you do. Could they have found somebody younger, much cheaper, probably with similar talent? The offensive line, Tyus had some questions in his run game blocking, from what I was reading. I haven't watched film on him, and it's not my area of expertise. But was this really a solid move, a great move? I mean, this GM's supposed to be a lot smarter than we are.
I don't know if it's a great move. What I do know is George Warhart is a hell of a coach, and I know Todd Monken is a hell of a coach. They understand that their scheme has to revolve around what their players can do. This man has played a lot of snaps. Again, you take a look at Houston; they were not a great running team. They were not a great running team. They did give up some pressure in the passing game as well, even though they said he didn't give up any sacks. So you would have to take a look at the video, the games, and hopefully, it necessitated you giving him the contract that you gave him.
So what they saw, I think they saw Houston, him not giving up pressures in the passing game. He wasn't that good in the run game, but the Browns' focus moving forward, they
Yep.
saw Cornelius Lucas and some of the other tackles basically letting pass rushers run right bad
Hmm.
past them. If you look at the statistics and the average time to throw, Shador had the lowest in the league. So they just need somebody to just put up any type of resistance.
Plug the hole.
What they got last year was like the worst ever.
Yeah.
I saw the offensive lineman from is it Trent Williams? I believe it was. I don't know if he's so.
49ers.
Yes. So Coach, in our panel, like if you're going to go to get a guy, go get a guy, right? I mean,
That guy is 40 million. He's not 20
but
million.
he's afforded. He has $40 million results, right?
He don't come on the market though. That guy he won't hit the market.
Well, I'm saying if a guy like Barry being the GM, he's supposed to have a talent that we don't have, right? He's supposed to be able to pull off things that we say, okay, that guy, I see why that guy has that job, right? So, uh, for me, you guys, it was kind of like, okay, you have a wallet and an open budget and checkbook. The move just didn't seem to me to really shift the needle to get us back in the you know a win column and make it run in the playoffs.
Well,
It's a
Trent
smart.
Williams. Trent Williams is 37 years old. Now, 7 years ago, when Coach Callahan wanted Andrew to go do that,
Hmm.
that's what he should have done, but he didn't. So San Francisco took him, and he's been, I think, a 12-time Pro Bowler
All pro. Yeah.
and a 5-time uh, All Pro.
Yeah.
He was there, uh, and his demand is more than the 20. You're not going to get him for 23 million.
I realize that.
His
Yes.
demand is higher than that, and he's had some injuries as of late. But 7 years ago, when Coach Callahan tried to get him because he had coached him with the Washington Redskins at that particular point in time, that's when Andrew should have gone out and got him to protect Baker's backside.
I want to say hello to Danielle and our favorite Jen Victoria for tuning in. Everyone who's tuning in tonight, uh, we've covered Todd Monken, the offense, the defense is being consistent in scheme and bringing on Dom Capers, coach. So I want to go back to Coach Stump. What is next for the Browns? What should they do next? What's next for Andrew Berry? Okay, you got the lineman. You extended him for $63 million. We got the draft coming up, Coach. Do you give him the keys and just let him? I'm not. I really don't believe in Andrew Berry at this point. You know what I mean. I hold him to a higher standard. I think than most people. He has a great life for what he does, and I just haven't seen the results. But with that being said, Coach, what is next? What should the Browns do next? What do you anticipate will happen?
They haven't stopped. I mean, you're still looking for offensive linemen. And you, in my opinion, just like they should have done last year. And you're still looking for a number one wide receiver, which is what they should have done last year. So the picture is still the same. Now, how he decided to go about it, no one knows. But you still need offensive linemen, and you still need a receiver. Uh, and I think they'll be okay. Uh, Tom Monken, I'm telling you, I'm a Tom Monken fan because first of all, he demands respect. Okay, players are going to do it one way. It's that plain and simple, and they're not going to have a problem doing it his way because they want to win.
Mm.
That's the bottom line.
I got a question for you, Coach. Do you think the penalties will go down under Monken? You think they'll get that kind of situation together?
Yeah, I think absolutely it will, and also the Browns didn't play good special teams the last couple of years. I mean,
Mm.
all of those things hurt the defense. Coach Schwartz could have taken that defense to number one if he got help from the other third, 2/3 of the staff. The offense and the special teams, they could have been phenomenal.
Speaking of special teams, Bubba Ventrone, you are not welcome in New Philadelphia. We will hit you with a water balloon and some eggs. Do not come to Tuscarawas County. But with that being said, hello, Greg Mallory. Greg, who's watching, mentioned that he likes the linebacker from the Buckeyes. I don't know if he's talking about the
Sunny
kid
side.
who had
You got two
Sonny,
of them.
the
Reese
combine
and
guy who had a very
Incredible.
great, probably the top combine
Incredible.
ever. We got the other linebacker from Glenville, Russ. What's his name?
Arvell Reese.
Reese from the great Glenville High School. Uh, Sapphire, looking into the draft, what do you? I know you've been consistent on what you thought we need. What's the follow up now? What's the game plan? The next two picks, what direction do you think the Browns should go in?
I mean, I don't think we could ever get enough of offensive linemen. Like to Coach's point, like at what point do we restart feeding our pipeline? Right? I just when I think about what Coach Munkin said, you got to build it from the line. Everything that Coach Stump has taught me in this last year, like just using each and every one of the Browns games as like here's an example of what not to do. I just think I want two more offensive linemen. That's what I want. Can you make that happen?
They should hire you. Coach, we're gonna go to Russ. We're gonna let you finish this conversation. Russ, what's the next two picks or the next two moves for the Browns for your liking?
I I'm going best player available, offensive line, best player, offensive line. So I mean that best player, me personally, I like Jeremiah Love. You would say, oh, we can't take a running back there, but
We can't take a running back there.
he the most explosive player in the draft. And what do you need? You need explosive plays. You look at Detroit. What do they do? Explosive plays with the running game. You look
Mm.
at Atlanta. Explosive plays with the running game. I like Quinshawn, but Quinshawn is not a he can get a 40-yard run, but he won't take an 80-yard run. He gets caught from behind. So, but if you put the two together, kind of like what Detroit was doing, there's offensive linemen to be had all the way to round
Mm.
five. It's deep. It's kind of deep, we can get guards in the third round, guard in the fifth round. We can get a tackle at 24. We get a tackle at what's the other pick? 39, I think. So you don't have to jump out there and take offensive line with the first three picks. We need playmakers. I think that's
Hmm.
key.
Stump, you're sitting in the draft room. Would you pick the best player in the draft, or would you? And I'm gonna remind everyone, Stump thought that the Browns should have grabbed Travis Hunter last year. Looking back at that, situation and what they went with, but this year's draft, coach, what do you think they should do with the next two picks that they have?
Well, I think you definitely need to get offensive linemen. There's no question about that. And I think you need a receiver. Uh, I think they need those two things to help the team. But anytime if someone was to fall through, a playmaker, and you have the opportunity to get him, and go do it. Because defensively, I think they're going to be okay. They always seem to have some fresher guys on defense, younger guys on defense. Of course, at some point in time, they're going to have to replace JLK because those guys they get injured as well. So you want to try to stack up. But I think they got younger guys on defense now than they have offensively, and those guys on defense have been hearing the same things from those coaches for the past at least 2 years.
Speaking of the draft and the combine, coach, I want to go back to you. I hope they get Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. He had
Ooh,
his
yeah.
40 time was, and I want to talk to you about that, coach, about this 40 time. We know the stories of the Jerry Rices of the world. Carnell Tate's from Chicago. We had some extended family, Russ, so we definitely will be uh, talking to that kid if they've drafted him and bring him to Cleveland. Coach Stump, I want to go back to you regarding the combine. Some of the numbers, for instance, wide receiver position, if a guy runs a 4.5, 4.6, that may not equate to him making plays. The great Jerry Rice was known for not necessarily having a great 40 time, but he's the hands down probably maybe the best football player, but definitely the best wide receiver ever. Coach, how much stock do you put into the combine in versus watching film and watching the tape?
Well, if you're just a numbers guy, you're never going to win for the most part. If you're just a numbers guy, because talent and heart can
Hello.
outperform those speed and stuff like that. I mean, we've drafted a couple guys with speed in Cleveland, but they couldn't catch a cold.
Yeah.
So, those numbers don't mean anything. But a guy like Tate, just his raw ability to make plays, his love for the game. You can see these things. You can see if a guy is a player in his play. His attitude and everything should be exemplified through his play. That's those numbers. Yeah, they're good. But what the guy does on the field is actually more rewarding for the fans, for everybody, than just running a 40 or jumping, 43 or something like that.
Mm.
Russ, you're a big draft guy. You watch, you understand personnel, college football, probably the expert on our panel. What do you take from the combine? You watching the combine because you look at some of the numbers. Sonny Styles' brother ran a 4.2. Avril Reese. I mean, there was some phenomenal 40 times. There was another running back who ran a really good 40 time. I think he was out of Wisconsin. He was a big kid.
No, Arkansas.
Was that? Oh, it was Arkansas. And then you got the kid Love out of Notre Dame. His game field reads out, right? We already know he's a guy. And
He's
so,
that guy.
Russ, you said you would go with the most talented player, but uh,
Yep.
do you pay attention to any? I mean, the 225 bench press. That's a legitimate.
That's
Uh,
legitimate, but as a wide receiver, how much does that equate? You know what I mean? The combine is more for entertainment for the fans, I
Yep.
think. As far as, I mean, you got to watch the tape. You got to go talk to a guy. You got to talk to his coaches, his peers, to see how much he love the game. You could be running 4.2 and jump 44 inches, but if you don't love the game, I mean, it's not going to equate to the field. You know what I mean? We talked about a little bit about Sonny. You know what I'm saying? The instincts don't match the numbers he put up at the combine. You know what I'm saying? We watch Ohio State games, and it don't always click like that.
And Buckeyes fans, man, thank you for telling the truth, Russ.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, yeah, you know, I love it. I'm Buckeye all day
we love
long,
him,
but
but
you know,
you can
and
see he never.
the same thing goes for his brother. I love the kids. His speed flashed in one game when he returned a kickoff. I think he took it 99 yards, whatever, had a kickoff return. But on the back end of the defense, it didn't always equate. You know what I mean? So
Well, Russ, I'm going to back up what you said. There were some players that indicated he didn't play free for all growing up because he couldn't. He might can jump off the charts, but he can't read a defense. It looked like to me
right.
because he got scorched a few times, respectfully. Um, Sapphire,
Mm.
are you excited about the Browns' uh, prospects given the draft that Barry had last year? You know, everybody jumped on Barry and was on the caboose because he had one good draft and seemed to have dementia over the prior years, you know, and some of the draft picks made. How do you feel about that, Sapphire?
What I feel is kind of what Russ just touched on, like with the combine. It's all about entertainment now, right? We're asking people to pay a ton of money to take their families to these games, right? So for me, it is what have you done for me lately? And I think the players understand that. You could look at James Harden's recent comments when, he got picked up by the Cavaliers. I mean, he mirrored that. I think the players have their heads on right, right? And for me as a fan, and I love me some Browns and Eagles, but if I'm going to pay the amount of money that I pay to take my family to games and have the whole experience, I don't want to think about yesteryear. What are you doing right now to bring my team, success?
Uh, I want to go back to Coach Stump, and this is something that relates to the Browns. It relates to Coach. We looked at um, Vrabel last year in his role with the Browns. Coach Stump, I want to ask you about Dom Capers coming in as a senior defensive analyst. Given your situation, in college football and you having all the knowledge and experience and understanding football uh, on many different levels, mentally, physically, preparation wise, coach, in an advisory role, what is your process? How do you implement, you know, some of the things that you believe takes to be successful? How do you, get your staff to buy in? How do you communicate that? What do you think Dom Capers and even yourself, what does that process look like?
Well, I think Don Capers is bringing, no question about it, a lot of experience. Those guys are going to definitely listen to what he has to say. But he's going to recognize also, or he should recognize that they got a pretty good thing going there in Cleveland. It's not a whole lot of tweaking that we need to do. But here's something I see right here. It's like me being here at the Citadel. I love it because even though the past 3 years they're only 9-26, they have an opportunity to be pretty good. They got a coaching staff that works tremendously hard, but sometimes they work too hard. There's some things that they don't have in their game that they should have in their game, and I'm just trying to get them to see that they're smarter than what they're actually playing. The one thing about football or any sport, you have to be able to. You need to understand. You need to do what your players can do. Okay, and also uh, you need to take what the defense is giving you. You can't force yourself on people all the time because sometimes it gets you in trouble or they're ready for it. So they're giving up something. Be willing to take it. And with me just being here, conversation with the offensive coaches and seeing them install some of the things that they haven't had in the past is refreshing.
Mm.
Well, Coach, I would say having a Dom Capers, a Stump Mitchell, I don't know if they know how lucky they are, and I'm hoping that they will, allow you to put your fingerprints on some of the things that they're doing because it will work. It will win games, and it will have some success. I truly believe that.
Absolutely.
Uh, we're going to go into our final thoughts. We're going to start with the Sapphire, our female counterpart, brings balance to us.
Oh,
Um, Say what's ever on your mind regarding the Browns football.
right. You know what? Me and my girlfriends usually have a little draft night party. It's women only. I'll just leave that there. But here's what I wanted to ask each of you. Did you see the recent video clip of Deshaun practicing? Did any of you see that?
I
I
do.
think I saw it.
Okay, all right. I was wanting to get your thoughts on that, because he looks a little bulkier, like muscular to me. And I was going to ask if you saw the same thing and what you think the implications are with that. But at the end of the day, this to me is one of the two best times of the year, right before the combine. It's really exciting, and I want the best for the Browns, um, and just looking forward to what the combine is. So thank you. I'm glad we had the show, Coach Stump. Great seeing you.
Nice seeing you as well.
All right.
Russell, give us your thoughts with your optimistic self and being the great enthusiast you are. I don't want to be Debbie Downer. I'm sorry for my commentary on, but what's your thoughts on the
No,
Browns? What are you
no,
thinking?
we're gonna have a great off season. I think AB's gonna get the building blocks together before the draft. He's gonna put some guys in place, and it's gonna surprise some people who are down on the Browns. I think he's gonna pick up another offensive line. He's gonna re-sign a kicker, get a punter. He's gonna fill in some of them gaps. They got a couple, openings right now. I'm excited about the draft. I'm sure he's going to move around. He's going to trade back. He's going to trade up. Not sure if he's going to do anything with the first round picks, but he'll move around in those later rounds, and he's going to get us some good guys. We're going to get a good receiver because that's a necessity. So look forward to it. Maybe another quarterback in the mix.
I want to say hello to James Frank. Coach, we're going to give you your final thoughts. I think for me, um, I wouldn't trust Andrew Berry with my car keys. I always look at, I equate success with what resources were available to you. And, I've kind of lived in a temperament of making something out of nothing. And so I hold high accountability to someone who's given uh, that much leeway and that much freedom and that much time, Coach. So um, I'm not as optimistic as some of our other great panelists, and that's okay. I'm usually a positive guy. I do not think they're going to win the division. Russ, you said they're going to get a quarterback and a running back. We got offensive lineman issues. I hope they draft five. I hope they get five new linemen. I don't care if they change anything else. Address that. Um, I think it's been a real travesty of what we've had to go through as fans. When you look at the mismanagement from Coach Stefanski that we've talked about all year, obviously he was just voted as the worst NFL head coach, and so Coach Stump, we want to get your final words on the draft, the outcome. Tell us what's on your mind given our show tonight.
Well, I mean, the last couple of years, it's the same picture. You need an offensive lineman. So hopefully, at some point in time, Andrew is going to address the need. Hopefully, Coach Warhart will have a strong voice, and Andrew will take the guy that he thinks will, or guys that he thinks will best suit that team. Todd Monken, of course, is going to have some say. He's going to look at every position on that offense, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive linemen, everything, and he'll have a voice in which Andrew will be willing to listen. But I truly believe that Todd Monken is going to be able to help Mr. Haslam forget that statement that when he said he took a swing at Deshaun and missed. I think Deshaun is going to come back. I think he's going to play his butt off. I think he's a heck of a young man with a lot of talent,
Yep.
and it hadn't played out the years that he's been there so far. But I think that was more so us as coaches than it was Deshaun as a player. The same way I felt about Sam Darnold. I really thought we screwed Sam Darnold around when we had him with the Jets. I didn't think he got the best from us as a coaching staff. I tried to get the Browns to even take a look at Sam Darnold because I just knew it would fit because of Alex Van Pelt personality and also because of Kevin's personality. But we chose not to do it. But I'm so happy for Sam.
Yep.
He went in and he proved that he can do it. Baker has proven that he can do it. And I think Deshaun with Coach Monken will prove that he can do it again. Again, I'm pulling for the Browns. Those guys that were there that I knew, both coaches and players, I think they work tremendously hard, and they deserve to give the fans what they're pleading for, and that's a chance to win. And I do believe that they win the division this year. I believe they play their butts off offensively. I think if Deshaun is that guy, like I said, within the top 3 weeks of the season, I think he'll do something that he hadn't done under Kevin the entire time, and I think he'll pass for over 300 yards if they get another receiver, to go with who they have right now.
You heard it here. Coach Stump said on March 3rd, 2026, the Browns will win the division. I want to say hello to Joseph Lampman from The Real. Our family, thanks everyone for tuning in. It's great seeing everyone. Running Back University, Stump Talk Podcast. Stay tuned on updates. The draft is coming up. Andrew Berry makes some moves. You guys will get the call from Coach Stump. We'll be ready to rock and roll. Thank you, everyone. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Cavs.
Browns.